Much. Our coverage continuing here at 6. We anticipate former Officer Brett Hankinson, the only one indicted by the grand jury, wanton endangerment charges, will make his first appearance before a judge next Monday afternoon. But what's next in this case? Political editor Chris Williams is on your side with what to look for.
The debate over whether Attorney General Daniel Cameron should release more will wage on. Despite calls for comment, his office declined new interviews. This statement Wednesday alludes to why.
As long as the case is making its way through our legal system, I can only speak in general terms about our independent investigation and findings. As the prosecutor, I am prohibited by the Kentucky Rules of Professional Conduct from making public comments that could in any way prejudice this case as it moves forward.
While there are some less predictable elements of what might happen next, here's what we do know. Hankinson was booked in jail last night, then bonded out a half hour later. His initial court appearance to face charges most likely will be next Monday afternoon, although there's a chance it could happen earlier. The court proceedings will then take months at least to play out. Meanwhile, another major aspect of this investigation is still underway. The look at how investigators obtained the search warrant.
That investigation remains ongoing. It is being handled by the FBI. It is still in the investigatory stages.
The FBI usually does not comment. I reached out, and while they didn't have an official comment, they clarified something many read into what General Cameron said on Wednesday. While they are looking into potential civil rights violations, they investigate any violation of federal law. So time will tell if more indictments take place. 2 so-called Justice for Breonna-Taylor bills are pre-filed or promised for January's return of the Kentucky General Assembly. State Representative Atticus Scott's plan would ban no-knock warrants, require body camera use during raids, and has other provisions. A plan promised by the Republican majority with minority party support would ban no-knock warrants. Lawmakers suggest more social justice bills related to the movement inspired by her death are possible as well. Chris Williams, WHAS 11 News.